John chapter 21, verse 18. Truly, truly, I say to you, when you were young, you used to dress yourself and walk wherever you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and another will dress you and carry you where you do not want to go. Okay, so there is a tailor shop, right? Huayin is kind of, I think, known for the fact that they have lots, especially this street. There used to be a lot of them. There's not a lot of them left. Before COVID, there used to be a lot of them, but there's, I think, I think this might be the only one that's left on the street. Okay, the beach is just over there. It's just on the other side of this row of houses. Okay, early on Saturday morning, so everybody is still not out here. Things are still opening up only. But there's still a number of other barber shops up the roads here. Why pointing out the barber shop? Because in this it speaks of Peter dressing himself. Now, yeah, if you want to have a good suit made, then I think Huayin is kind of a place to go. They are pretty famous for that. And I mean, in Bangkok there are a number of places, especially I think people from Nepal making clothes. They're very good at it. Okay, so. But the dressing, right? Why is this important? Because Peter was just reinstated by Jesus, and now Jesus is speaking of that. There's going to, when you were young, you used to be the one to do. You had your plans. I remember as well in my life, I had my plans I wanted to do. My life was always planned 5 years ahead. When I was in school, in primary school, I already knew the subjects I want to take 5 years later when I get to that stage in secondary school in which to specialize. So when I was in secondary, I already knew what I want to go and study at university. I just always planned things. Okay, so Peter was like that. He had these plans. This is my job. This is what I do. And now all of a sudden it's changed. It all changed. And more so, he's not going to be able to go to a shop and get a suit made for him. Other people will dress him, right? Not in the sense of, oh, now they're dressing me, I'm getting this great suit kind of idea, right? But not the way you wanted it. You want to have freedom over your choices. So he's going to stretch out his hands. Here, take me into custody. Now, yeah, they would not have cuffed him. Okay, I don't know what the heck they would have done, actually. But it is a sign of that he will be led to places that he doesn't want to go. He will not be the king of his soul anymore, other people. But what he is, like Jesus, he gave his life. In the same way, Peter would be willing now to give his life so that others, for the sake of the gospel, can do this to them. This is going to happen again before people say, but this was written years later, whatever. In 2-3 weeks from here, it's going to happen to him. Not in 30-40 years from now, right? 30 years when he died there in Rome, according to what we know sort of from other sources. But immediately, a couple of weeks later, go and read the book of Acts. So this is not that it has to have long time in the future. Verse 19. This he said to show by what kind of death he was to glorify God. And after saying this, he said to him, follow me. Okay, now this is what it said to show by what kind of death he was to glorify God. That's in brackets, in other words, not part of the original. So it could have been added, right? The fact that these words were added at the later stage, or maybe not in the originals, that can as well show that this happened. This happened there. Jesus didn't. This is not a long time, far into the future kind of a prophecy happening here, because, like I already said, anybody would have known that if this happened to him, Jesus said, this happened to him, they will hate you as well, okay? So this is not that this has to be this weird old prophecy that's been fulfilled. Anybody who can add 2 + 2 ought to have known that these kinds of things are going to happen or will happen to them. That it won't happen to them is actually more going to be of a miracle than anything else. And it did happen to them, except to John, as we're going to see later on. Okay, so the idea of this kind of death that he was to glorify God with. So since it is in brackets and it could have, so this specific part could have been added at the later stage to not maybe reinterpret, but as well to show the fulfillment ultimately of these words. And so saying, following. So he just told him to follow him. He already reinstated him, and since he told him to follow him, following him will lead to what was said in brackets of him being persecuted, or what Jesus told him before, right? That is just that. If he's going to follow Jesus, then this will happen to him. He will be persecuted, as Jesus was persecuted. Okay, so the fact that he did say follow him, and he did follow him, he was reinstated, would then logically make what Jesus said sure to come true.